As we see Prince William bowing before the coffin of Pope Francis in the few minutes before the funeral began, and I think that's going to be the thumbnail. And people will object. They'll say, why is he going on about the Pope? The Pope's funeral has passed. Well, actually, his burial is still due, and I think the Pope is the bigger story today. But in the shadow of the papal funeral, the world watched while two men wrote a final chapter, one with dignity and the other with desperation. And I think Pope Francis has acted with dignity, and in contrast, just across the way, Putin is acting with desperation. Vladimir Putin, whether alive or in a grotesque imitation of life, clings to power like a drowning man grasping at shadows in a Smeg fridge. And Pope Francis, in contrast, dies, and his spirit lingers, uniting enemies and old rivals. Donald Trump and Zelensky, two men who agree on little, spoke warmly in the Vatican in the shadow of Francis's peacemaking legacy. He is mourned not merely for his office, but for his moral authority, a currency still richer than the armies of Putin. And contrast this with Putin, isolated, frantic, and some whisper possibly dead, replaced by doppelgangers in an increasingly surreal Kremlin stage show. A freak show, indeed. Putin's Russia in these days resembles a theatre of cruelty, something out of a Vincent Price film. The cursed governor, Alexei Smirnov, who rose and fell within 7 months, promoted, blamed, and imprisoned. Professors, generals, governors. I must say I'm very pleased to be out of Putin's grasp, away from Russia, and I'm very grateful that I was given advice not to go back. Because I'm sure that I too would have been purged, like so many people I know, purged in a frenzy of paranoia that makes a mockery of loyalty. That's the behaviour not of a ruler, but of a man terrified that reality has slipped from his grasp. And by contrast, Francis, even in death, projects calm power. He understood the deeper truth. Influence is not maintained by fear or artifice, but by patience, consistency, and principle. The Pope whose health failed was in his frailty never stronger, the autocrat whose face never appears or still appears on screen, but in some sort of AI generation, whether genuine or touched up, is visibly weaker by the hour. Putin's last charade, a rushed chaotic Easter ceasefire proposal, exposed his futility, announced unilaterally, badly coordinated, rejected even by his own generals. It collapsed into farce within minutes. And meanwhile, Zelensky seized the moment to call for a real 30-day truce, a move Francis himself might have applauded, leaving Moscow isolated and humiliated. But in any case, Putin's bit of theatre is eclipsed by Francis's death. Putin lashes out, jailing, exiling, erasing those around him. Francis unites even his critics, drawing homage across continents. One man clutches at life through deceit, the other secures immortality through truth. And so as the bells of St. Peter's toll for the Pope, another darker bell tolls inside the Kremlin, not announcing death, for perhaps Putin physically lives in all improbability, but tolling for the death of trust, of legitimacy, and tolling for fear itself. The contrast could not be clearer. The anxious tyrant flails in vain, like Vincent Price. I mentioned him earlier, like Vincent Price in the Mask of Red Death, while the patient Pope, even in death, commands the world's respect. It makes you think, doesn't it?